Dear participants, we will move on to the next session. Today we have Dr. Aramekanna Madam, HOD of Manufacturing Engineering Division, College of Engineering, Guindy, as well as the chairperson of Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, which consists of mechanical, manufacturing, and other mechanical related field. He is, Madam is the chairperson of the mechanical engineering department also. Madam has around 34 plus years of experience in teaching, out of which 22 plus years of experience in additive manufacturing field. And she also expertise in the additive manufacturing, digital manufacturing, and bio-additive manufacturing, like additive manufacturing related field. And Madam is the reviewer for 3D printing related journals like Rapid Prototyping Journal and Additive Manufacturing Journal. And Madam has published more than 100 journal publication to her credit. Madam also published chapters in 3 books. So Madam is more experience in the 3D printing and additive manufacturing area. So we are happy to have Madam in our FTP for the session on 3D printing. On behalf of Murugappa Polytechnic College and on behalf of Department of Mechanical Engineering, I'm having great pleasure in welcoming Madam Aramekanna Madam for the FTP. And now I request Madam to start the session. Thank you, Madam. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaskaram, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskaram to everyone. Hope you are all healthy, especially in this pandemic, and you are safe. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Murugappa Polytechnic and the entire group for giving me the opportunity to be part of their FTP Atal program. Actually, the Atal program, it has a various series of things, starting from the IITs to our campus to the other institutes. Now it's with the polytechnic colleges. Almost for all the things, I somehow one or other few Atal programs, I was sharing my experience. So it is a great experience for me to share the expertise I am gaining for the past 20 plus years of experience only in additive manufacturing. When I started my work in additive manufacturing, that time, 3D printing and the additive manufacturing, both are vice versa. You can able to exchange the terminology. But as academicians, additive manufacturing is a proper thing. 3D printing is part of it. Anyway, please do not confuse yourself. So wherever I am mentioning that additive manufacturing, it is a 3D printing. Okay? So the 3D printing, that expertise I am having when I started my research in that area, it was a rapid prototyping. That time, 99. So that time actually, when it moves to rapid manufacturing, what are the things are necessary? That's my area of research. Then till almost for the within 2 decades, it moves to manufacturing. That is additive manufacturing. Now is part of a classification of our manufacturing processes. Actually, there are many ways are there to take the additive 3D printing into your life. I do not know whether you already know it or not. It does not matter. Whether you are a PG scholar or a research scholar, or you are a experienced faculty, or you are a young one looking for the ways to do that. So there are whoever maybe in whichever ladder you are, it does not matter. There are opportunities are plenty, and you could be able to make it to your area. Actually, there is no. It's not necessary that you have to involve only in additive manufacturing. Once you understand the basic things, then you should know how to apply these to that. I think you have a series of lectures. You are going to have a demo session with the next generation. They are having a good facilities. Anyway, they are going to demo also. Now the do-it-yourself printers are also available. Within, if you are really interested to make your own additive manufacturing with a particular application, that also you can be able to do. Those who are young enough to explore that possibilities, that also be there. So here in this 1 hour 30-minute session, with respect to 3D printing of polymers, that is, or you can say that the polymer 3D printing process, especially with the powder-based process. I will tell the very basic thing with respect to the what are the ways are there to think with respect to the materials, with respect to the application, and what we have done the throughout the entire thing with our lab. That also makes you to explore the different ways how you can also into that additive manufacturing research area. I do not know that entire strength in what way you want to focus. So I will break in between that. Then any queries I could be able to answer your queries. Then that will be the best way to have the session. With the request, at least the one point that you have taken it from the session, that is my wish. With this, we'll start the thing. I will share my screen. One minute. I think now my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The 3D printing of polymers, that is a thing. So we'll see that there are so many technologies. I will give you the brief introduction about the importance of 3D printing and move towards the polymer 3D printing processes. There will be a lot of technologies that will transform the entire globe. Like 60s, when your computers and the communication, and your CAD, CAM, CNC and other things are started. Like that, there will be a lot of technologies now that will transform the entire globe. Especially, there are a lot of technologies that it will call the disruptive technologies. That is, digital disruption is already taken place actually. It will transform, how it will transform, like your very good example will be the Uber. The taxi business. Suppose if we want to start the taxi business earlier, at least we should own one taxi. But without even owning a single taxi, they are having only the Uber. It becomes a very high model, business model for the success of these technologies. This is a digital disruption. It becomes so like that. There will be Google, your Facebook, Alibaba, that chain of stores. The inventories, all those things are a lot of almost 10 different digital technologies that become very famous. They are called the disruptive technologies because you should understand that the disruptive in the sense the way.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
so, ma'am, your presentation is not in presentation mode. It's not visible.
It's not visible.
Only window screen is visible. Presentation is not visible.
1 minute. 1 minute. Window. Now it is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Change into presentation mode.
Well, it is in the presentation mode only.
Fourth one.
Is it visible? Is the clarity is there in the thing?
No, ma'am. It will be shown a little bit only.
Oh,
little screen.
wait.
So change into the fourth one, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Huh?
That one, ma'am. Click that option.
1 minute. Now it's clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Sorry for that. Now it's clear, no? Clear to everyone? It's okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, like that, many digital, sorry for the interruption anyway. Anyway, like many digital disruptions that will happen and become a very successful model. And the disruptive technologies also came in many fields. Any scientific discipline, but whatever may be that disruptive technology, they have a common characteristics of the high rate of technology change. That's more important, because what we understand, the technology that we are studying, we are experiencing, that we are practicing, these technologies have a high rate of changes. Then the broad potential scope of impact, most importantly the large economic value that could be affected. Then the substantial potential for disruptive economic impact. That's wherever the technologies are come, it will be value based on your economic, whatever it may be. So anyway, we will slightly little bit later we will see how it will be added with the economic impact and other things, how it possible. Okay. So the pace of innovation is incredibly fast, with the new things being discovered almost daily. Even today, every day there is a new thing come, especially with the 3D printing. There will be they identified in 2018, they identified the 11 disruptive technologies. I'm not talking about the digital technologies, it's already there. Like I told you, Uber, Facebook, your Google, Alibaba, all those things like that. They identified that along with your industry 4.0, there will be 11 examples. Let's say Internet of Things, AI, gene editing, high-speed, hyperloop robotics, blockchain technology, autonomous vehicle, advanced VR, renewable energy, and space colonization, and the 3D printing. The very important thing along with the 11 technologies are most disruptive technology, which impacts on the economy also. It's known as 3D printing. Suppose if you see that the entire car simply by printing, don't think it is the imagination, it's already happening. Especially your electrical vehicle, your Volkswagen, that will be printed. Almost they invested entirely onto that. Instead of placing the entire layout and investment on different technologies, they invest on the 3D printing technology. Almost more than 90% of the component will be printed by the 3D printing, that electric vehicle from the Volkswagen. Like that, there will be different stories are there. The car is simply by printing. So you can able to see that the print settlement, space station, even you start with the furniture, utensil, or you can go with the body parts. There will be a long list. Wherever, whatever may be that area, there will be a application of a 3D printing is there. Because you could simply, you can transfer the document containing the file that you want to print it, you could be able to digitally you can transfer wherever you are, wherever you need it, it will be possible to print. That is a print on demand. So there will be materials, you can start with polymer, metal, ceramic, glass, soybean base, wood filler, icing, sugar, Nutella, rubber, wood, even concrete. The 3D printing, even in our India also, L&T has, along with IIT, they have demonstrated the 3D printing houses. So there will be the technology is already changing many things which it is available. So the industrial segment is now shifting towards the digital manufacturing. It is more evidenced by the 3D printing. It will enable the mass customization in the industrial world. You could able to see here that this is a standard one. This is a spec. So you can able to print it with the customized, which exactly with the socket. It will be the medical application. It's it is possible. That is known as a mass customization. With the same print, if you want to print 100 different designs, will be of a unique. That is possible with this. So here, this mass customization, the AI with the key to closing the economic advantage gap between the traditional and the metal, 3D printing is artificial intelligence, which will able to do that. Why these are necessary? Why there is a need to go with the digital manufacturing? Because the expectations of a customer always, whatever may be the changes that we are making it only for the requirement of to suit the requirement of your or satisfying the customers. Now you can able to know that all the other things, the red color, the latest thing that will be added, not only latest, maybe few years back itself, these terms added into that. Earlier, it's only availability, price, quantity, variety, wants to buy very frequently, demanding and unforgiving. Because wants everything fast, I think you could be able to experience those who are young, then you could be able to know by yourself. Under this requirement, the changing expectation of a customer is impatient and wants to be special. The customer cannot be able to wait for the product, and whatever may be the product they are owning it, either it may be a pen or it may be a dress or it may be any product, everything they want to be special. These two makes the changes in the manufacturing field, because everything you want to be unique, then the mass customization plays a major role. Okay, so the requirement of a manufacturing changes to suit the changing customer expectation. It's obvious, because both things will be of a dynamic in nature. So we have to change it. So if you want to have these two characteristics, so there are variety of products and shorter lead time with smaller run and a flawless quality. This is a new thing, requirement of a manufacturing. So the requirement of a manufacturing makes that digitization is an opportunity. Because why digitization, how it will create an opportunity? It makes sure that it is a lower cost, quality of a production. Always these two are, earlier these two are into that two different trade-off. Now with the lower cost, at the same time the quality will be improved. You have to have a flexibility and the efficiency. Most importantly, the response time to the customer request and the market demand is shorter. Then it also opens up the new and innovative business areas. So the 3D printing is a digital manufacturing process. It changes the way how it is designed and manufactured actually. So the AM represents a paradigm shift in design, manufacturing, most importantly in the distribution also actually. Okay. So this technology, it provides a solution to the companies, industries ranging from the consumer and lifestyle to tooling to automotive. The industrial world is only beginning to understand the value of a 3D printing, and there is no doubt the new application will continue to be discovered as the technologies advances. Actually, these technologies, what we are going to discuss, or you are discussing the entire 5 days. It is now, they are used to call it as a conventional additive manufacturing. We are now talking about additive manufacturing, but almost I have seen all your lectures, all those things now it's called as a conventional additive, because that much advancement is happening with the 3D printing technology. Okay, so but one of the major challenges is most importantly, I think this point I want everyone to understand, and you have to keep it in your mind, because one of the 3D printing's greatest challenges rest in the mindset of engineers and the manufacturer. So because before the world sees the mass adaptation of the technology, there must be a shift in how we approach the design. In the past, the previous things like your traditional manufacturing, the production capabilities determine the design product. But now it is critical to retrain engineers and designers think in terms of a design-driven manufacturing, providing the high degree of design freedom. So the 3D printing is a design-driven manufacturing. So only once the thought process behind manufacturing, it will enhances will 3D printing fully reach its potential. So it is a request actually. So that's why the latest 3D printing companies, they want to have employ a very young engineers, those who are thinking out of the box, or those who do not have a high experience into our regular manufacturing processes, because we have restricted to our thinking process, because immediately with startup thinking, if you want to design, immediately we stop whether it could be able to manufacture or not. That process has to change, because the design is free. Design is free. That's why it's called, with the 3D printing, the complexity is free. Not design is free, sorry. The complexity is free. So the 3D printer does not care if it makes the most rudimentary shape or the most complex shape, and that is completely turning design and manufacturing on as we know it. Okay. So there will be the economics of 3D printing, because it's more important when you want to have the traditional versus the 3D printing. When you say traditional versus 3D printing, the economic advantages of this 3D printing plays a major thing. As of now, you can go with a one-off type, or you can go with the batch production. It is more economic. But when you come for the mass production, it is not replacing one. The 3D printing will serve as a complement to traditional manufacturing rather than the replacing the entire thing. Because it is a broader adaptation of a mass production is still to take. Okay, so these are the things: the lower logistic and production cost, higher sustainability and efficiency in production through using the least amount of material and energy. It will, whatever maybe the new technologies are into that, the basic thing that you have to follow is it will be for the sustainable manufacturing, and it is a green manufacturing. The 3D printing process, instead of removing it, it will add layer by layer, and the wastage of a material, it will be reduced a lot. So it will give you that energy spent on that will also be less when you compare to the other manufacturing processes. So the companies also find additional savings from the production waste, as well as the increase of sustainable practices through the 3D printing. So this is a very simple, basic thing. With this, we will see the, I think we have already seen that the classification as per the ASTM F42. Now these classification are changing. Okay, as of now, it holds good. It's already changing, because from the ASTM's website, it has been taken out. Then they say that we are in the process of creating a new thing. Anyway, as of now, the additive manufacturing classification is as per ASTM F42. These are the 7 classifications. So one thing you can able to see this wet polymerization, powder bed, material extrusion, binder jetting, material jetting, sheet lamination, and the direct energy deposition. Except this direct energy deposition and the binder jetting, you can able to see that the material choices, almost all the process, the polymers plays a major thing, because this talk is only with respect to polymer. But anyway, what are the other metals also be there? The ceramic is in the early stages of development, but the way in which it evolves is it's a predominant. The ceramics is predominant. Metals, that's already there actually. So these 3, except these 2 processes, all the other processes using the polymer as a material, because this 3D printing process is a material dependent process. We cannot able to use all the material to all the processes. It's a material dependent process. That's why the material choices are given here. So the 3D printing of polymers are concerned, the most popular 3D printing processes are photopolymerization, material jetting, powder bed fusion, and material extrusion. I will give the very basic thing about the generalized thing about the general processes, but we will more concentrate on the powder bed fusion process, because other 2 processes anyway you are going to see it, and the demo session is going to have. So we are going to half of this discussion will be based on your powder bed fusion. That is a polymer powder based process. Okay, because the material used in this process, either it may be a liquid or solid, or it may be a powder. So the process, it will be where you can able to see that it's the liquid, either it is a molten based or the polymerizable bonded objects. If it is a solid base, it's a sheet lamination. The powder based is either it is a melting and the binding. Okay, so it is with the classes of material, and it is a method of a deposition. Method of a deposition. The type will be if it is a molten, it's a material extrusion. If it is a polymerized, it's a wet polymerization, material jetting. If it is a bonded object, it is a sheet lamination. It's a melting, powder bed fusion, as well as the direct energy deposition. Because the powder here, the direct energy deposition, it is for as of now I know it is for the metal. Okay, the powder bed fusion is both, it is available for polymer and the metal, but the direct energy deposition, it is for the metal and the ceramics. Okay, So what are the advantages and what are the challenges? I am going to say some challenges because the challenges are giving you that opportunity if they want to pursue your higher studies or research in that particular area, or those who want to concentrate are going to start a new thing with respect to the 3D printing, then there are some challenges also be there, which it has to be explored to that full potential, to explore the full potential of the processes. So the polymer process, whatever may be the polymer process, it does not require the costly development of a new tooling to iterate through the design ideas, because once you want to frozen the design, how many different times in the prototype is to be done. There is it not require the costly development of a new tooling to iterate the design ideas. Then customized to fit user specified design criteria. The customer, whatever may be the criteria, design criteria, then it is possible for you to fabricate. Then the minimal amount of a feedstock material saves on material cost and the waste disposal. The potential for in-house part production, it reduces the length and complexity of a supply chain. So it enabling the faster production and the innovation. So what are the challenges? Anyway, I will tell the benefit later. What are the challenges? The quality assurance, each and every process has its own rules actually. If you talk about the, I do not know, somebody has talked about the design for additive manufacturing. There will be a separate rule will be there for design for additive manufacturing. For each and every process, there is a specific rule will be there. So that will even you apply the rule, the quality will differ from even within the same process. You have a different machine of a same process. It will differ from one machine to the another machine. So that give you the maximum challenges to give you the assurance of a quality. So the quality assurance, it is now, it is almost the entire world, they are working towards that the quality assurance. Then anisotropic and mechanical properties is well documented in polymer with respect to the certain processes. Isotropic also accounted in type of certain things are there. So that also be a challenge. That is needed for certain application, but it's that mechanical properties are not necessary for the certain thing. That how you are going to change it by using the rules. That also be the challenges. So these are the things. Whether you understand it or not does not matter. At least you keep it in your mind. That will give you the way to explore your additive manufacturing into your different area. So there will be the parts printed as a residual stresses. It will lead to certain defects or at certain things in the final part. How it can be eliminated, how it can be reduced. That also be one of the challenges. Then you need to have a predictive model, especially when it moves to the manufacturing. When you are going to use along with the other machine, or you are going to replace it when you entered into that manufacturing shop floor, then there is a need to have a predictive model to correlate material property with the 3D printing process parameter. So you want to have a process modeling, then now with the latest thing, the big data analytics and IoT and the physics-based models for accurate process control, with the data analytics, with the process modeling, it is going to be a very big challenge, and it will give you the lots and lots of opportunities to do that in the 3D printing area. But you have benefits also be there. These are the benefits are there. Then there will be a lot of things are there. Why you have to use polymer in the 3D printing process? Because you have a different type of metals and ceramics, others are available. Why the reason? What are the reasons? Things are there. Anyway, when it starts with the 1980s, the late 1980s, the first commercial prototype machine with the SLA, where the Charles Scull and others with the Texas, University of Texas at Austin, they have invented, and they have first commercial thing will be by the DTM Corporation with the 3D systems. Now it's a 3D systems. When they introduced, it is with the plastic. So the plastic side of the industry continues to mature more rapidly with the other materials, because it began with the polymer. It began with the polymer, especially powder-based material. Then only the FTM, status size, and other things are coming the next year, and other things. Okay. So what are the reasons? So you have a low volume plastic for production without a mold. That's more important. When you say it is a without a mold, you could be able to produce a component. But it is a low volume plastic part. How many the low volume? What is the number? That is a great challenge, but it is increasing more and more. So it is easier, faster design. Anyway, the accelerated lead time, mass customization or mass personalization, for assembly consolidation. As a whole, as a product, you can able to print it. No need to go with the assembly also, or you can reduce the assembly also, because you could able to print as it is. Then you can another important thing will be, you can see that polymer 3D printing is a replacement for metal. Okay. So anyway, you can able to see that the polymer, the additive manufacturing has become a disruptive technology. Either the user of polymer, either it will be a top Fortune 500 company, or you can go with a hobby list. It is there actually. You can say that the industry from aerospace to athletics to the healthcare, anything you can able to print it, even including human tissue. That is a organ printing is a major thing. It's already organ printing is there. It is in the ethical committee. They have demonstrated the organ printing. Some of our India also, and one of the IITs, they are also working towards that organ printing. In other places, they demonstrated the liver printing, the kidney printing, heart, all our the important organs is already printed. Now it is in the ethical committee. Very soon, within a year or within a few years, then it is going to be a organ printing, the 3D printing application in organ printing. It is going to available, and it becomes possible. It is going to save many people's life who is waiting for the organ donation. Okay, so that is a major thing in the tissue printing, organ printing. So the polymer based, now we are talking with respect to the powder, easily blended with other plastics and material to create alloys that are utilizing in the manufacture of a high performance engineering plastic. Because what are the main driving force for this implementation is it is more complex geometry. You can able to give a part consolidation, designed internal structure. Almost the structures, you can able to see the structure, which it is impossible for the most of our manufacturing process. This is a component taken as it is from the machine. So more complex geometries you could able to do it. That is a major thing. The AM facilities are used, implemented, how these processes are optimized for the higher quality. So there will be 6 reasons to use a polymer 3D printing. There will be a low volume plastic part production. Actually, you can able to see, you can see that benefit. The niche product, that is a Periscope smartphone case. They have manufactured that phone cases in a small batches by the multi-jet fusion. It's a plastic 3D printing process that can make a product economically at a limited scale. That's more important. That is with the mold. Because you could be able to produce it low volume plastic part without a mold. It will create a situation like there is no constraint against the changing part design. Okay. Earlier, if you want to change the part design, because you have to create a mold again the complexity involved into that mold creation. Now it is completely eliminated. So the tooling is removed from the manufacturing process. It becomes possible to rapidly iterate the designs to arrive. There will be a different type of a design. So you could be able to see that it's a spotting scope mount, like a different thing within that time. How much time that will be reduced? Each one thing it will be. You could be able to understand the capability of a 3D printer because it requires only the file and the raw material to get started. There is no mold, fixture or cutting tools are necessary. The manufacturer using this process for production can produce an initial run of parts much more rapidly than any other process. So how much that I wanted to tell, just at least there is one application for assembly consolidation. There will be a 16 individual pieces with the 2 different material. You can able to do with the metal instead of that nylon. The assembly was reduced to just 4 pieces and 1 material. The weight savings of nearly 300. Like that, you can have a n number of applications in the net. Okay, so the benefits are potentially greater for the plastic. They replace the metal with the plastic with a reduced number of count, and the weight savings are nearly 300. Okay, so it is a benefit of consolidating the thing. So wherever you are using that metal, generally it's not necessary. It has to be printed only with the metal. Because you are using the many parts that are currently machined from metal, because it's simply because this has traditionally been the easiest way to make them, not because they must be made of metal. Like that, anything, you please look around yourself. Those who are really interested and involved into that type of 3D printing, you want to inculcate into your practices. Forget about the industry product. You just look around your thing, what are the things that you are using it. Then just think it of whether is it necessary for you to go with the metal. Then if you think deeply, many times for some application, it's not necessary to go with the metal. Then it can be replaced by the plastic. So that case you can take and replace and check it. That will give you the spark of using the 3D printing, how you are going to apply the 3D printing. It's a one way, because we have been doing like this only. All my students are using, whereas the part, even the industrial application or a small product, wherever the metal is there, whether it is necessary or you want to make it. For any industry, suppose if you are having a machine, you think it up, if you are replacing it with the metal part, you think whether it is necessary. Only with the metal. If it is not so, then you can replace with the plastic parts. That is the way it can be a replacement of metal. Reservoir. Like that, there are a lot of component. They are replacing metal with a polymer. So every 3D part today has a story behind it. Okay. So there will be a different industries. Immediate future, you can aerospace. Aerospace, I want to tell it, the GE, in today's 3D printing news, they say that the fuel nozzle, almost all the Boeing aircraft, they are replacing or they are using the fuel nozzle. They are having a number of components. Now they will be reduced to 13 components. The GE, there will be a separate web page will be there, additive web page will be there. They are the pioneer. They paved the way. The rapid prototyping moves towards the additive manufacturing, because the aerospace, they say today's news, they are releasing the 1 lakh, that is 1 lakh fuel nozzle. Yesterday is the 1 lakh fuel nozzle. They are releasing it. Almost all the Boeing, it will reduces the weight, which will save the fuel of the aircraft. Like that, the benefits are immense actually. Okay, so the aerospace and defense, these are the applications. Then automotive, the tool and tool making. You can go with the electronics. Electronics is a printed electronics is a very another important application of a 3D printing, where embedding the radio frequency identification devices embedded inside the solid material. That's more important. Almost our future medical devices are going to change a lot. It's already started. It's already starting, because you are embedding all your thing into that material. Short lead time of electronics. There is separate machines are available for the electronic printing. The micro electromechanical systems are using for that. The microwave circuits fabricated on a paper substrate. Actually, in our electronics department, they are having the how they are going to fabricate these circuits and other things. The medical, it's almost in all the places, especially the dental and other customized implant. Now the medical device market is going to place a major thing. The healthcare industries, especially after pandemic, they are going to place a major thing, especially with the 3D printing components. Okay, the smart scaffold. Then there will be a properties of a polymer material. You should have a mechanical, it should have a mechanical stability, chemical, thermal stability, and biocompatibility. Anyway, the applications generally born out of a necessity. In our campus, we have given our response to COVID-19. We are having a few industry-based machine and a few extruder-based machine in our lab. There are a lot of challenges. There is no need to explain. We are in the pandemic. We are still in the pandemic. Hope we are going to get out of fully within a year or so. It is the unprecedented scale and severity of a human, especially it will disrupt the global supply chain. Because the countries are having a lockdown, there will be a restriction on the transport. So the companies are regularly producing the medical supply. They are facing the shortage of labor, raw material, and the increased demand. So here the flexibility of toolless 3D printing, it encourages the production of innovative novel products that can be used during the COVID. Almost all the technologies are in down. There are few technologies like 3D printing. They become more popular. And that they will give their identity into that our industry world. That way, I cannot able to say that advantages to that pandemic situation. It is an opportunity in the pandemic situation. So they are the products from the polymer 3D printing. I am not talking about the metal. It's only with respect to the polymer. It's a PPE kit, no touch door opener to ventilator valves. So the products, the design is ready. You can just simply transfer your design file through electronic transfer wherever it is needed, near to that location where the facility services is there. There they could be able to produce. Then they can be able to see that. Our department, we joined with the initiative along with the government of India to print in the ventilator split and the flow limiters actually. Okay. Here we printed it in the FDM machine, and the ventilator splits enable to use a single ventilator for 4 patients. With Rajiv Gandhi Hospital, we have given. We have joined the national initiative to counter the corona through 3D printing. We printed the ventilator and the flow limiter, because the flow restrictor or the flow limiter, you can have a ventilator split. It can be fitted above that, because the requirement of oxygen level will be differ from one person to the another person. To do that, there will be a splitter according to the need of the individual thing, according to the lung compliance, because the same ventilator will be shared by the different persons. Then the flow limiters is according to their matching of that lung capacity need. Then they will be there. We could able to produce almost 100 different few numbers of ventilator within a few days, and we will hand it over to that. But with the prayer that it should not be used, because the ventilator usage is not that much required. Anyway, this is with respect to the SLS, with the collaboration with the NHJ, this National Hub for Healthcare and Instrumentation Development. It is to measure this. It is a Wi-Fi enabled smart thermometer without touching the patient, because that pandemic, it is a airborne and other things. It will restrict to track the body temperature by using the same thing will be used by that. Not only the temperature, it will be measured the other thing also along with the Professor Dr. Sendil Venom. Along with that, we used to have these thermometer cases. We could able to modify the design within a week. Actually, within few days, we could able to finalize the design to suit their need. Then the STL file, we could able to three prototypes within 8 hours. We could able to print it. Okay, so that's a way. It is a good example for accelerate the product development. Not only the product development, the faster validation of a product. For each and every validation, there is a mistake. Though there is a no need to change the design. Immediately, the design has been changed, and we could able to print, and we could able to print it. Okay. So now I come with the process, in the sense polymer 3D printing process. What are the different type of processes are available? It is a stereolithography process, where the initial material will be of a liquid. Then it is held in the bag. So each and every layer, as per that, the laser has to move. So the light has to move and it has to be exactly scanned and polymerization taken place, solidification taken place. Once the entire product or entire layer gets over, then it has to be stopped, it has to be taken out. I'm telling the very, very basic thing. Anyway, you are going to, I think you are going to see the demo of a liquid-based 3D printing. This is a DLP process. It is opposite to the Ulta. It is a top-down approach. It is a bottom-up approach, where here the laser will scan for each and every as per the slicing file. Here the entire area will be exposed to the thing. That's why it becomes faster. Okay. This is a digital light processing. So the another project, another thing will be a polyjet. You could able to see that the polyjet modeling, there will be an inkjet printer, like inkjet how we printed it. No, the same way there will be a different inkjet printers are there. There will be a model material and support material will be there. You could able to see that no, it will deposit and the light rays are there. The light rays are in both the sides. So when it printed in both the direction. Once it printed, along with that simultaneously, and the light rays also passes through it, it will solidification, polymerization, and the solidification will take place. It's called as a polyjet. The another will be that fused deposition modeling, and there will be extruder will be there. The solid based wire will be there when it comes out of a nozzle, because of the shearing, the temperature and other things will be there. Then it will be placed into that. That is a extrusion based thing. We could be able to see that whatever may be the process, the 3D printing process chain is same. I think in the initial classes, initial lectures, you could be able to know that the CAD conversion into STL file. Then there will be a manipulation and a transfer to machine, building and past removal, post processing and the application. The manipulation and the transfer of machine. Here also there are a lot of opportunities. Those who want to wish to do the research, or those who are really good in coding, G coding and other coding, then they have a lot of things you can do. Familiar with the CNC coding and other things, there are a lot of things you can able to do that with the path orientation, support structure, hollow slicing and the toolpath generation. There will be a part orientation plays a major thing. It affects the part accuracy. You can orient the part this way or that way. It will affect the part strength because the way in which the components are built in this direction, it always weak in the Z direction. So you have to change the orientation as per the part strength. And anyway, the orientation has to be with respect to the build time. If you are orienting the part this way or this way, definitely the number of layers required to complete it will be different. So as per that, and the time taken for you to complete it also be different. Okay, so if you are orienting the part, it also requires a support structure. Support structure, it also affects the surface finish. It increases the time because you are adding the material. It has to be removed. Then it may affect the surface finish, the time taken for the build and the time taken for the post processing. Okay. Anyway, these are the various ways are there to give the support structure. You have to remove the support structure. There are different ways are there to remove it. This FDM, it will differ from one machine to the another machine. Then I think you could be able to see that this color, white color are support structure here. Here also this ash color are support structure. Here it is only the layer is there. Here also the support structures are there. Anyway, I am not going to see that more detail into that because each and every topic has to be discussed separately for hours together. Anyway, these are the steps. Each one it will require to do lot of opportunities to explore this. So this is a way how you have to remove the material from that. Easy way you can simply just bend the this platform, then you can able to remove it, or it can be immersed in the tank, ultrasonically vibrated, or it can be simply taken it from by using a simple tool by the hand also be, or separate mechanism are there to remove it. Okay. Then these are the comparison. Anyway, we will see that at the end. Each and every process as with respect to the material and the accuracy, what's a typical bit size, and the common layer thickness, the support is whether required or not, what is the uniqueness into that different type that will be there. Anyway, you could be able to see that these are the advantages with respect to the each and every category. With multi-material jetting, you can have a multi-material printing, full color printing also be possible. This is a desktop material with a stereolithography. This is a plus or minus 0.5%. Then you can able to see there's a thermoplastic. You can have a variety of materials also be there. Anyway, now I am coming to that one thing. These are the very, very basic thing with respect to the other polymer processing. We will see the selective laser sintering. I think taking into consideration, you are going to see the demo of from the next generation with the two demo with the extrusion based and the liquid based, that is a SLA or a DLP based. I am sure that they are having a machine. They are going to demo it, keeping that in mind. This another 30-20 minutes or so, we are going to see only with respect to the selective laser sintering, that is a powder bed fusion process. I think if you have anything to clarify, we will see first, then we are moving into the selective laser sintering. It's a one type of a polymer 3D printing process that we are going to see. Any clarification or anything you want to ask me, then for a few minutes we will discuss. Any doubt or any clarification? I think if there is no clarification, anyway, it's okay. We will see the selective laser sintering. Okay, so this is a typical process cycle for the laser based powder bed fusion. Powder bed fusion is a classification. Okay, it's a laser based powder bed fusion. There are different type of energies are used here. Here the energy used will be a laser. So what are the process cycle? You have obviously you have a 3D model and you need a material. Here the material is in the form of a powder. Okay, these two are the input. So while you are inputting into that, then finally the output will be a final product. So this is a model. This is a final output that you are giving it. Okay. So for each and every process, you have to deposit. You need to deposit a layer of a powder with respect to your layer thickness. Then with a laser, you have to melt the powder and the solidification starts. Then the next will be once it's over. When the laser it moves from here to here, again the powder with the either with the powder roller or a blade is there. From that it has to be moved. So it can be moved from here to here. Both the direction it will be possible. So the table it has to be lower down for each and every layer. It will lower the same process. It continues. You have to deposit the layer. Laser has to fuse the powder. And it has to lower, again you have to deposit like that. This is a very basic principle of a laser sintering process till the entire thing. Okay. So the building procedure, it consists of a powder deposition, powder solidification, followed by powder deposition, powder solidification, followed by the lowering of a build platform with respect to the layer height. Okay. So these three steps are repeated till the entire component has to be fabricated. Okay, it has to be sintered. So the solidification process is with respect to the laser source. Here we are having a laser source of a CO2 laser with the laser optics to scan and model contour and layers according to the CAD data. Anyway, I will show that video, you could be able to understand it better. And the laser radiation is observed and affects the local heating of a powder particle. It causes the softening, melting and the solidification of a adjacent particles. So you can have a melt, fused and bonded together. That is a mechanism behind that. Okay. So the powder deposition between the sintering of adjacent layer is conducted using a blade or a roller for distributing the powder particle supplied either by 1 or 2 hoppers. Here we are having a 2 hoppers. Either you can do it by 1 hopper or a 2 hopper moving across the building envelope. So the process chamber is kept at an elevated temperature, few degrees below the processed material softening point. That is your glass transition temperature. Why you have to keep that entire chamber below its glass transition? Because it decreasing the processing time and reduce the amount of thermally induced internal stress, which will causes the residual stresses and other things. And the other distortions like curl, warping and other things are developed during the layered solidification. So that is not needed. Okay. So then you can able to see that there will be a different properties will be there. And the properties distinguish from the manufactured with the other 3D printing techniques, because you can use the high performance plastic with a specific mechanical property. That is the main difference between the SLS process to the other process, because it allows the user to process a wide range of thermoplastic material with engineering and high performance plastics. So because of this advantage, the laser sintered parts are durable enough to be used in application which they are subjected to mechanical loads. For example, here you can able to see that. So it is a bionic handling assistant. The SLS, it is printed by using a SLS. It is an innovative thing using the movement is like how it resembles the elephant's trunk, how it moves. So it consists of 3 movements for spatial, hand axis, and the gripper with the adaptive fingers, So it is a very good example where you can able to have a functionality and the complex component, which it is everything put together and it can be fabricated as a one. So which would be really difficult to make with any conventional formative processes. Okay. So the part properties out of the SLS have a resolution and the surface roughness. It will be strongly dependent upon the particle size. Actually, the particle size ranges between the average it will be distributed to with respect to the machine that we are having. It will be average distributed to 30 to 40 micrometer. Okay, so the roughness, surface roughness, even it will be you can use it directly as it is, or maybe few surface roughness if required. You can able to coat or any process to improve the surface properties, like a regular that we are able to do that. Okay. So then general the CAD data, it has a stat stuff effect. Roughness, it also indicated the roughness. So the process parameter, there are different type of process parameters are there. One important thing which will result to the part properties of porosity, because it converts from the powder to the final product, but it is a solid phase sintering. It's not a liquid based sintering. And the bonding occurs when it is when the two powder particle, it occurs the solid phase sintering. Even though it will exhibit a certain level of porosity, but it can be controlled. You can able to control the porosity level by having the controlled over your design of design for additive manufacturing principle. Okay, but anyway, the porosity will depends upon the particle size distribution and the material choice and the parameters. But on the positive note, the SLS fabricated parts are light and the porosity can be advantageous in which requires a larger surface area. For example, scaffold. This is a work that we have done actually. Okay, so it is along with the Aston UK University and along with the biotechnology of our campus, ACT campus and the Aston University combinedly we have developed this scaffold which it matches to the patient data, and this porosity is ranged. We have the scaffold, the pores and the pore size and the interconnectivity between that we could able to design it. That will enhances the cell growth in the tissue engineering. So like that, the property which it will be out of that, it also be a positive note onto that. Okay. So this is the ability of a SLS to support the bone cell. Okay. So this is a machine that we are having it in our lab. We have each successive layers, and the bed is incrementally lowered. And the process is repeated as I already told you. We have a EVOS P396 machine with the 340 by 600. This is a build volume, actually, the build chamber. It has a 340 by 340 by 600 mm. We have a CO2 with a 70 watt laser. We have a different type of material, PA22 nylon. Okay, so nylon, PA11, PA glass filled polyamide, alumide. Alumide means aluminum and the polyamide mixed together. Prime cast for investment casting. The PA2210 fire retardant for high grade temperature resistant material, and the flexible EOS TPU. It's a flexible material like tire like material, and polypropylene. These are the material we could able to process it. Even the carbon mixed with the polyamide, that also be there. Sorry, I forgot to mention here. That also be there. Okay. So what are the steps in selective laser processing? These steps are, there will be previously what I told, it's a general steps. With respect to this selective laser sintering, these are the steps. So it's a data preparation. Under the data preparation, we have a STL file. If there is any error, once any design software, you could be able to design it and convert it into the STL file. STL is nothing but your triangulation. Then you have to load it and you have to check for the error. If any overlapping or any missed triangle and any data are missed, then you have to fix the error, and you have to orient the part. And the 3D nesting is a very, very important capability of this particular technology. You can able to nest the different unique product within that. That software will able to help you to that with the 3D nesting. And all the nesting is over, then final slicing is there, which will give you the tool path of the, that is how the laser has to move. The machine setup, this is a procedure are there. The clean, you have to optics, there is a parameter will be there, you have to clean it, and you have to select all the build parameters, and you have to fill the exchangeable frame, load the powder, and you have to start the warm up. These are all called as a pre-processing steps. Then there is a building part while you are fabricating. There is a build cycle. The build, you have to load the job. Load the job here. You have to load the file into the machine. You have to start the build, and you have to monitor the build. Actually, almost once you start the build and you make sure that everything is goes smooth, and the entire process, enough materials are loaded. You make sure everything. Once the build start, you just monitor for things. Then everything it will be. You can monitor remotely also. Everything is unattended. There is no need for the machine to be attended. Okay. So then once the build gets over, you have to leave for the cool down period. For example, if it's a 10-hour machine, the part as building part, it requires a 10-hour duration. At least minimum thing 10-hour cooling time is required, because it has to, it reaches to the highest temperature below its melting point, above its recrystallization temperature. So it has to be cooled down to the room temperature to enable and make sure that the mechanical property, other surface property, and other required properties are there. Then you have to remove the exchangeable frame. You have to take it out, and you have to empty the part, and you have to clean the collector bin and the machine. And then the post processing, you have to unpack the part and brush off the powder. The very important, specific, significant into that will be here, the nesting, and then no need to create a separate support structure in the polymer powder-based SLS printing, powder bed fusion process, because the unsintered powder acts as a supporter. So it will reduces the waste to that lowest waste, and even unsintered powder, you can reuse the powder. Okay. So the collect the unsintered powder, it can be reused it again, sieve it and refresh with the powder. There is a proportionate will be there, 70% of the unsintered powder and a fresh powder has to be reused, and he has to blend it, and it has to be done. Then brush of the powder. And the removal, the post processing is very minimum in the sense because there is no need to separately remove the support structure. You have to brush off the powder, and if it requires, if it is a very complex geometry are there, the powder particle which is stick on to that solidified part, then that it has to be short blast and it has to be okay. Again, I am repeating, these steps are only with respect to the selective laser sintering process, that is a powder bed fusion process. Okay, so this is the data preparation. I think we could able to see that this is a component that you want to make it. Now you can able to see that no, it is a chains. So you cannot able to make a chain assembly, but you could able to produce it without assembly as it is. Once you could be able to make a design, so there is no need for assembly. You can able to make it. Okay, you can orient the part. The orient the part I told you already with respect to the loading, surface finish, and the critical features in part. These all comes along with the design for additive manufacturing. You have to make sure that the powder drain holes if necessary. If it's a complete cylindrical parts, if you want to drain the powder, you have to make a hole like that. These all are the data preparation. You have to make sure that the gap between the part 5 mm is required actually with respect to this machine, and the interlocking and part removal check, because it is assembly part. If there is interlocking mechanism is there, then you have to make sure that how the part has to be removed, whether enough space is there or all the other things. Then that's like it. I think when the this is the inner part of the here you could able to see that no, this is a removal chamber. It's simply you can able to get up the. It's a German based machine actually. It's an industry machine. It's a German based machine. Cost approximately 3 crore, 3.15 crore actually. It's a removal chamber. When it's open it, there is a collector bin. You can able to see that no, it's a collector bin. There are two sides. These two are the supply bins. These two are the collector bins. The supply bin is able to supply the material. Then when the roller it moves on to the remaining material will be collected in the collector bin. Okay, this chamber is the entire thing. It is a process chamber. You could able to view it. There is a glass door. We can able to view it also. Okay, to fill the powder, load the file. Now from this you could able to see that no, it is a one particular slicing of the file. The components are actually we printed it with respect to that our testing component. ASTM, as per the ASTM standard, we want to have tested certain things, so we printed it for the holes and other things, as well as your compressive and the tensile properties and other things. You can able to see all the components are unique. Okay, either you can able to do that. There will be a different process parameters are there. Simply, I wanted to know that what are the parameters, what are the property of a powder, and other properties are there. Then what are the influence? At least I have given only one example on the energy stored at the surface. What are the user defined parameter? What are the geometry defined parameter? The user can able to define the laser power, the spot size. All are ranges from one minimum to the maximum, and the hatching space, and the intensity of a pulse, duration of a pulse, and the number of pulses. Okay. So geometry defined will be with respect to the beam speed, vector length, and the delay between the successive pulse. All things are geometry. It all affect the energy stored at the surface. Okay, it all needs a certain research thing to understand the entire thing. What you have to understand will be there will be a different process parameter that will influence on the energy stored at the surface. That's all. Okay. So you could able to see that no, it's a inside, it's a build, it is a during build. I think you please recall that this thing, this is a particular file. It will be exactly it's during printing. Okay, the steps are recoating, warm up, laser exposure, lower build. It is again I told you it is with respect to this particular machine. Okay, just you can able to see that no many very good videos are available in the YouTube, but it is this is our machine. If you watch it very carefully, now the laser is in the process. Wherever it is necessary, the laser it just scans it, the particular geometry. When it when the entire geometry it is over. Okay. So the one layer is over. The table has to come down. Now the roller it passes from this direction to the other thing. It deposit the calculated amount of material. Now again the laser sinters. It scans exactly as per the slicing. This is a tool path of the laser. As per the tool path that we define, the laser sinters. Okay, I think you could be able to differentiate between the previous layer and other things. The previous layer, at least for this part, now it printed, no, it will start from here to here. Now it is perpendicular to the direction. So for each and every layer, it moves. Now again the laser spread. Okay, so the movement of a laser, it is perpendicular to that direction for each and every layer. So each and every layers it recode.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, video is not playing.
Not?
Video is not playing.
Playing now?
Video is not playing, ma'am.
Oh.
Only
okay.
PPT only shown in the.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think
okay.
I do not know. I checked only.
Okay.
I will check it.
Okay.
I will do it again whether it is okay. Now it's visible?
No, ma'am. Only PPT is shown.
Okay, pa. I do not know.
Okay.
Okay. I thought of giving it exactly to that. Sorry. Actually, then I have two videos. I do not know. I will check it. Because while it removes the material, you could be able to understand that how it will be there. Okay. Once this build is over, the entire thing is recoating, warm up, laser exposure, lower the build form. Then the unpacking and post processing. Even here also it is a video. Okay. 1 minute. Stop sharing it. Now it's visible?
No, ma'am.
Now, Nova?
Yes, ma'am.
It's visible?
Now the window is showing.
Yeah, that video is visible?
No, ma'am. No.
At least that video window is there? With the video?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, I don't want to waste the time. Sorry. If possible, I will share the slide to your thing. Then they could be able to share when they find time if necessary. Otherwise, leave it. No? Because once you see that, then only you could be able to understand it actually properly. That's what I thought of. If they are new user. Okay. Now my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you are building, the process is recoding.
No, presentation is not visible, ma'am.
1 minute. I'll do it again. Sorry. Now the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
The video is playing, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I have made a mistake. I think I start because once you know that, then only you could be able to understand it. Huh? Okay. Now it's the initial thing. I think I explained it already. Please listen to that. So just view the video. Just observe it, you could be able to understand. Now the laser scans, how it scans, please observe. When the next layer comes, then it will be of a different direction. Because other parts you could, I do not know whether you could be able to observe it or not. The larger part, now the recoater blade. Now you please observe it. It is perpendicular to the direction. I think now you could be able to see to it. If the layer thickness is 50 micron, then the platform has to lower down with the 50 mm. Then now it spread the powder. The recoater, it moves from this direction to the direction. You can able to see that the two sides there will be a feeder will be there. Now this warm up is there. Then next the laser has to scan. The warm up makes sure that it reaches the particular temperature. Already there will be it will be the entire chamber. If it is for example, the temperature it requires to melt will be 175 now. Suppose for example, then it already preheated to 165 to 168. It also differ from one material to the another material. Okay. So anyway, I think the building is over. Again, it's like that. It will give, for example, if it requires 100 thing, then it will go up to that 100 layers. Then it entire thing is over. Then it has to lower down. Then it will be cool down for the time. It has to take it out from the removal chamber. Then the unpacking has to be. Now the screen is visible, Appa? The video is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now the once you take it out, sorry, I could not be able to show the same component video. I think some other video is here. Anyway, this is how it looks like actually. You take out of it, and there will be a packing and unpacking station will be there. The entire chamber, it has to be kept it here. Yeah, they are removing it to the unsintered powder. So you can able to see the unsintered powder can be reused it again. Okay. Okay. Because of the time and duration, we want to show that the minimum thing. Because that component it requires a 15 hours, so it requires a lot of time. This is, I think, this is a component of some drone component. The component is taken it out now. There will be a powder sticking into that. They remove it and they kept it here. Okay, all the other unsintered powder, again I repeat, it will be reused it again. So it's not a waste, it is reused it again. Okay, so you can able to see there are few components, not they are same. Each and every component is a unique one. That is the thing you can able to see that. They are using the vacuum because the powder gets flows down. So to do that. So they are removing it. I just forward it. Okay. So these are the component required for some drone component. Okay. Okay. Now how easy it is to remove it, no? If you see the other process video, you could able to find it difference. I think some video has been given in the afternoon and some other day. You could able to see how the components are. It is an industry component. It can be directly used for the functional component as a functional component. So they have taken it everything. Now they are removing the powder. Simply by tools are there. Simply by tool they can remove the powder remover. So then after that, now we could be able to see the component. No? Just you have to remove it. Then, it's not an assembled one. It's a final product. There are different components together actually. It as a one assembly, you could be able to manufacture it in this process. Because no need to create a support structure, it will give you the greater flexibility in the design. Then once it is taken it out, the entire thing, the short blasting has to be done actually. Anyway, thank you. Now my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have 10 more minutes. Sir. What's the time? Okay, unpacking and post-processing. It's very simple, unpacking and post-processing. There will be a short blasting will be there to clean the unsintered powder sticking to the surface, as well as it will certain extent it improves the surface finish of the component. It's enough directly you can use the component as it is, unless otherwise you need a specific surface finish requirement. You can go for plating, or you can for painting, or any other surface finish requirement. Another thing I wanted to mention that these all are the ways with respect to this process. There are many opportunities common to all those things, like your design for additive manufacturing is there, and this another end there will be a quality requirement. There is a lot of opportunities. Here the research opportunities are you can able to optimize the process parameter for specific characteristics, development of a process parameter for new material, improved surface quality, mechanical property. You can able to predict, you can have the prediction model and the physics based model, how these manufactured parts with the residual stresses, shrinkage and final porosity and the crispality. Okay, so these are the components. You can able to see the different colors are there. That also be there. Now you could able to see that you have a SLA, DLP, MJP, FDM. These are polymer based process. With respect to this SLS, it is a thermoplastic, usual nylon. You can have the dimensional accuracy. The very important uniqueness of this will be there is no support is required. Then 3D nesting and isotropic property. The thermal properties are there. Okay. So what are the work that we have been doing? I think I will rush through it within a few minutes. We have worked with the design for additive manufacturing. These all are our work. Here afterwards is all our work. So part consolidation, functional integration, topology optimization, which it is used for. These are our actual application. Here the rapid tooling, the customized fixture. We are using it, replacing the metal for aerospace application actually. With this polymer ABS material actually. Then we are developing the development of a multi-material structure with a lattice structure, biocompatible coating over the polymer scaffold, the energy absorption material. I think if you Google through it, all the publications are available on that. Especially we have been concentrating more on the medical devices, customized support, ocular processes, surgical tools, fracture fixation tools and other things. Anyway, I don't have any time to that. You can able to see that it is exactly our work. Our one product is coming out in the name of a antibiogram scope in the name of Anna University. It's interdisciplinary work. I am very happy to share it's along with my team is a part of the development of our work. It is under UPE. You go to the website, all the other informations are available there. For that, we have developed a few components. You can able to see that assembly, weight of assembly. Earlier it is 9 part. We could able to design it with the 2 part. Because of the reduction in the weight will be 32%. Material reduction 14%, fabrication time by 3%, and rigidity of the product will be increased. Like that, this glass filled polymer material, you can able to know 84% reduction. It can withstand double the alternator load and the belt tension. You can able to that obsolete spares. We are the digital inventory and replacing the obsolete part for the very high end Volvo also we are working with that. Okay, so these are the work that I told you. This is a metal part for forming thing. The metallic windows is output from our developed die hydro buffing. So this is another fixture for our. You can able to go at least those who are having a EDM, micro EDM. If you want to have this a fixture, it's not necessary you have to do it with the metal. We are many times we are replacing this polymeric fixture with the metal. So healthcare, this is another work. This is along with the doctors we have been using. Here the lady, she is wearing that ocular prosthesis that we developed along with Shankar Netralaya. This is along with the government hospital. This is along with the maxillofacial surgeon. Anyway, these are the opportunities are there. Anyway, I think I stop up to here. If any queries are there, I am willing to answer your queries.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. Participants, if you have any query, kindly unmute your mic and you can raise it to the expert.
Sorry, a few things I could not, the way which I wanted to share it, I could not able to do it because of time delay in playing the video. Apologies for that.
No, it's very informative, ma'am. We understand that because of the time schedule, limited time schedule, you can the maximum possible thing you already explained, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Participants, if you have any query, you can unmute your mic and raise it to the expert. Okay, ma'am. It seems that the presentation is very detailed and explained very well. We can find that in the chat box that the presentation is very well and great. So we understand that there is no query from the participant, and you also shared your contact. They will definitely contact you in case of any clarification.
Whatever maybe that queries you are having, you could not able to ask it now. I am willing to. If any query is there, I am willing to respond to your query either through email or you can contact whenever you are visiting to our main campus CEG. Our lab is at the Department of Manufacturing Engineering. Please visit us. Please visit our lab. Then you could able to have some spark onto that to start your thing. At least you take one thing, what we discussed it, and the thing. I think it's helpful. I wish it should be.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you for the.
Thank you very much.
In spite of your busy schedule, you spared your time to take a session on this TP and explain the concept of 3D printing in polymers. So, we are on behalf of Murugappa Polytechnic and Mechanical Department, we are very thankful to you for sparing your time. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. I think the other two polymers, the next generation, they are going to demo it. No, that's why I didn't tell anything about that by seeing you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. I am leaving it. Thank you.
Thank you.